If you have a drawer, a folder, or a hard drive full of half-finished projects, then this video might be for you, because I'm going to say some things that your creative shame might not want to hear, but it might just save your creative soul. And I'm saying that because I'm still sat in the messy middle. As you can see, I'm still in my daughter's bedroom. That's still unicorn and rainbow wallpaper behind me, like in the last video about the messy middle. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in here. I've made a little setup on this desk, getting ready to go, because I'm not sure if my wife's moving in or not. I think she is. We haven't made that decision, and I haven't been able to fully unpack and haven't gotten around to working on getting her in here yet. But anyway, back to you. Let me guess. You start projects with gusto, enthusiasm, verve, excitement. You're getting new tools, supplies, get your stuff out, get excited, really get energized about it, love it. But somewhere in the middle, it ends up just sitting there when that excitement has dwindled, when you've gotten to the bit where it's hard. I think we've all been there, and I think it's pretty normal for creatives to explore that. But imagine you've started your novel, you've gotten to chapter 3, or you've started a YouTube channel and you've got 2 videos up there. That was me for quite a while. Or you've had this business idea that's going to take your creativity, match it up with making some money, and actually create a life that you want. But it's still just sitting there on a piece of paper as a business idea, a business plan. You've talked to a few people about it, but it never turned into anything because it felt like it was kind of tough and hard and you weren't quite ready to go there. And every time you see these things, you open those drawers or you flash by them, or you get maybe you had business cards made and you see those or whatever, you find something on your phone or on your computer, reminds you of it. You have that twinge of shame and disappointment and maybe even feel a little bit like a creative failure. Well, here's something that nobody tells you about all of this creative shame and that unfinished work. And it starts with why half-finished projects hurt even more. Because if we never started anything, even if we felt there was potential, we couldn't fail. And in some ways we protect ourselves by not starting all the things, not talking about them, not sharing them with people. But when you start something, you open yourself up to that possibility of failure, that possibility of getting stuck in the middle. And you've put all that emotional energy, time, hope, maybe even finances into this project, and to have them sitting around reminding you of this, it kind of hurts a little bit as well. And then sometimes each unfinished project whispers, maybe you're not really a creative person. Maybe you're not a writer. Maybe you're not a musician. Maybe you're not a poet. Maybe you're not a videographer or a filmmaker. Maybe you're not an artist. Now, we're not going to believe those lies right here. We're going to get to that. Or maybe it's bigger. Maybe it's the lies that your mind tells you. It says, well, if I can't finish a small project, I'm never going to be able to take on those big dream projects that I have that I want to get to in the future. And that's just really tough place to be. I get it. I've been there and I've worked with loads of people who've been there too. But there is ways to move on, and we're going to unpack some of those. But before that, right now, I want you to slow down and think about your most painful unfinished work. If you have to, pause the video for a second and just notice what's there. Remember it. What's that feeling that you get? And that feeling is just information. It's truth about you. But I need you to remember that that truth is that you are creative, that you did start something, that you did have a vision, you had an idea, that it's that you're not a creative failure. You've got things that you want to pursue. The fact that you start things means that you're a creative person. The fact that you struggle to finish them may just mean that you need a better system, a better way to make them get to the end. Maybe you need support. Maybe you need other people around you. There's lots of ways in which you can start to work on this and start to fix it. We're going to get into that now because I think there's at least 4, but I'm just going to cover 4 reasons why creative projects stall. 4. I'm going to start with number 1 is maybe you're undertaking the wrong project size. Maybe you've always had this idea, I'm going to write a novel. You jump into it, you get into it, and you haven't worked up the kind of skill set or the chops to be able to get 50,000 words out there, if that's what you're aiming for. But maybe you should actually just start with some short stories to prove the concept and have some like brownie points in your bank going, well, I'll be able to do this, so I should be able to do this. Once we scale it up, once we build a system, once we think through what that's going to look like. Number 2, maybe you don't have a completion strategy. Maybe you've got the excitement at the beginning, but you've got no plan to get to the end, to get you through the boring middle bit, to keep chipping away at it, to, have milestones or plan for when it's going to get there and start working towards the end, taking it off little bite-sized bits at a time, And here's one that I struggle with. Number 3, the perfectionist trap. Maybe you think it's got to be perfect as soon as it pops out of you. And you start editing right away, whether you're writing music or writing on a page, whether you're talking to camera, whatever it might be that you're working towards. Maybe it's pen on paper or paper on canvas, paint on canvas. And you start editing straight away as opposed to letting it flow and getting to a place where it's much more complete and in a place that's workable, where you could start editing it after taking a break, or bring it to other people and seeing, is this going in the right direction? If that's part of your process. And then the 4th one could be, maybe you're working in isolation. Maybe you're working without support or accountability. One way in which this has really paid dividends for me is after writing lots of musical projects and kind of getting towards the end, I realized that I love the writing process. I love building up the sounds, but I'm not particularly good, and I'm okay at arranging things, but I'm not particularly good at the final kind of mix, and I certainly have no skills in mastering. So I need to find people to collaborate with, whether that's a paid mixer or a paid mastering service, or I've worked with people who are really good at mastering. Maybe I ask them to look after it for me and get it to a place where it's complete. Thankfully, I'm now in a band, and my bandmate has lots of those skills. He's brilliant at having that ear for landing things in the mix. He also has loads of amazing outboard gear that can handle mastering. So we're at least able to get to the first step of mastering. So that's taken care of, because I've realized that that's not something that I excel with, something that I fall down on and I don't get it over the line. So maybe that's that. But before we move on, I want you to look at your unfinished project again. And this time, you might need to pause again. But instead of seeing the failure, see it as evidence. Evidence for your creativity. Evidence for your vision, your ambition, and the fact that you're willing to try. And write down what that project shows about you. Like, genuinely, stop. I mean, of course you can just watch another video and let it whiz past you. But if you really want to start working on this stuff, stop for a second. Write down what this project is saying about you. What is it informing you? And what does that give you? What does that show you about your creative courage? After working with hundreds of creative types, I've figured out that there's at least 4 creative completionist types. Some people are natural finishers. They're able to understand that it's good enough, but maybe, and they're able to get it over the line, but maybe they need a bigger challenge. Maybe they need to challenge themselves more and work in a bigger field or bigger sphere, put more themselves into it, be a little bit more raw, whatever it is. So there's a way in which they can still learn and grow. Other people get stuck in the messy middle. Like I was just saying, like there's that place in the middle where everything gets uncomfortable and a bit boring and sometimes underwhelming, sometimes overwhelming. And then things in life pop up and we don't go back to it. But there's excitement again to restart something. And then the other type is the overwhelmed starters. Those who, let me pull out a prop here. Those who sit at the blank page and stare and can't get going. But they've done some prep work, they've thought about it, they've got some ideas down, but when it actually sits down in front of the blank page, they really start to struggle. And that could be because they're like, oh, this fancy watercolor paper, I don't want to ruin it. Or this amazing canvas that I bought and stretched myself, and what do I do now? Because it means committing your idea to something and moving forward. The final type is the creative abandoner. Those who regularly get to a point and they drop their projects. But they're also ready for resurrection. They're ready to learn from them. There is content for new ideas, for new projects. There's fertilizer there to keep you buoyed up and keep you moving forward. So it's not that hard to move on. And there's different strategies in which we can work on and help you with to get to a point where you'll be finishing projects, okay? But the solutions for somebody who's a natural finisher aren't the same as somebody who's an abandoner. And we need to figure that out. What I've done is I've put together a 2-minute assessment. It's 10 questions. They're multi-choice, really won't take you long. You don't have to think that hard about it. And I'll put a link in the description. It's just a quiz that's on my website. And once you fill it in, you'll straight away get like a little bit of an indication as to which one is closest to you. You can see if that resonates with you. And what I'll do is I'll get pinged to say you filled it in. I'll take a look at it and I'll get back to you within 24 hours and I'll give you a kind of detailed breakdown of what type that is, what it means, but also a couple of strategies for you to take that and move forward, to take your abandoned projects and turn them into something wonderful. Whether they finish those pieces or whether you use it as fuel for something new. Okay, that's my promise. And here's the real truth about this. You're not broken. You just haven't found your completion style yet. You just haven't found a way in which you're able to take all of that amazing energy and bring it through to something fulfilling and to the end. And you know what? It's a beautiful place to be, because when we start to build these things together, when you start to get support, accountability, when you have other people around you cheering you on, when you start to build, the success banks, and that could be anything. Like before we went away to France, I had to tick off all of my DIY projects around the house, including fixing the roof above this bedroom, which has been problematic for the past 6 years. We've had contractors in, we've paid people to do it, and I was just like, I'm going to go and see what I can do. And you know what? It's been raining a lot here in Ireland. No water's come in. And yes, that's a really practical, not creative job, but it gave me a real buzz when I went away going, oh, I finished off all of those projects. Now let's get back on with some musical projects. And that's what I did. And I've had an exciting time sitting at my sampler making new music for a band. So we've got a bunch of songs that we're going to carry on exploring and figuring out. And that's not good. And even when I'm done with this video, I'm going to sit right here and make some more tracks because I'm excited and energized about it. And we've actually got a whole process to getting that out into the world. So it's looking good. But back to the assessment. You can fill it in for free. Just need to put in your email address so I can send you back the results. And it's just there on my website. The Creative Finisher Assessment, it's a tool to help you to figure out what type of creative finisher you are, but also to figure out what are the steps that you can take. What ways can you insulate yourself from that failure and move on? So please take it now while it's fresh in your mind. The link is in the description. Once you've done that, YouTube will show you a video here that you can click on and watch next. But instead of watching the video, go finish one of your projects or take the next step that you can. Okay, your future self will thank you. Okay, thanks creatives. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Okay, bye.